Well, hello again, folks, and we're back. I think we're going to today try to start some tomatoes and peppers and a few sort of derivatives and similar plants here. So I'm going to do peppers, tomatoes, and tomatillos today. I just briefly jotted down what I wanted to plant and the cells I put them in. So this will be my Japanese black tomatoes. This will be my purple tomatillos. This will be my pineapple tomatoes. This will be my sweet pepper, and this will be my hot pepper. Now, a couple little things I want to go over real quick. My favorite tomato, I kind of discovered by chance, is this Japanese black. I've grown it off and on for about 10 years. They're like small pears. The top tends to be, I guess the top of it is sort of a more greenish color, and then it's more red towards the bottom, and when it goes from green to red there's a little bit of a brown there to it, or that's what gives it the black quality. But it's real good flavor and very prolific. I like them. They don't crack, they don't split. It's a good tomato. But I liked it so much I saved my seeds from last year. There's a little bit of a technique to doing that. I can go over that too. But what I want to do a little bit of an experiment here is plant some of the ones from last year and some of the ones from the seed packet, and we'll see which does better. So I think I'm going to kind of earmark this one right here. This top right will be the seed packet, and then the rest I'll do the ones from last year. Just to be on the safe side, I'll do 2 seeds per cell, just so we have a little bit better chance of having growth. Let me get out my magic wand here, right here. This is all you really need. You just put the seeds in and then just gently poke them down. So I'll start with the Japanese black. We'll see how they do. We'll see how they do. I'll know in a couple of weeks if this was a viable seed, if I saved them correctly. It's a little tricky. I sort of saved them at the end of the season. I just had a couple laying around and I was like, you know what, I like these enough, I'm going to try to keep them. So let's see what happens. See if any of them sprout. In another video I'll go over how to properly save them. You have to ferment them a little bit and it can help with the germination. Yeah, they have to kind of be activated a little bit. Now they will grow without that, but they grow much better if they are activated. So I'm going to put seeds in here now. Another one there. And they also have a tendency to stick together. So you sometimes have to break them up a little bit, because when they dry, they sometimes will dry together. So you got to just use your fingers to break them up just a little bit here. There we go. So I'll take my wand here. In fact, so I don't cast a shadow on it for you guys, I'll use my left hand. So you just kind of press them down about a ½ inch in. So they're covered with soil, but not too far down. Now this is really light, so even if they do go a little deeper, that's okay, because this soil is real fluffy here. So just go through, and I'll just kind of keep proceeding my way down and do these next 2. Alright, in we go. 1, 2. So you don't want to pack the soil too much. The lighter it is, the easier the roots can grow. And when it finally does get wet, when we add the water at the end, it should definitely, packing at the end, it should definitely pack the soil down a little bit. Alright, see, these seeds are very, very small. They're about the size of like a sesame seed, maybe even smaller. So you got to be a little mindful. You don't want to do this on a windy day. I put 2 seeds per cell just because they're so small. I found usually smaller seeds have a little bit lower germination. But I try to get 2, sometimes 3 go in just because it's hard to control these things. Yeah, so these are purple tomatillos. Tomatillos are nice because they're very low maintenance, and they keep for a long time as well. It's not a lot of work to grow them. They don't need a lot of water. They're suited for desert environments. So, you know, if you have a dry spell, you don't have to get out there every day and water them. I actually kind of like them. And I get this purple kind because it's a little different too. You know, you go to the stores, it's all green. This time let's do purple. So these are real teeny tiny. Again, about another ½ an inch down. I just push with the tip of the pen, just kind of driving them in. Try to keep them, if I can, on opposite corners of each cell so they don't grow too close together. But this has it covered. Germination rates are usually about 80%, and then from there sometimes the plants just don't make it anyway, so this kind of has you covered in case you have a little mishap in the growth. So that's done now. Let's move on to the sweet pepper. So this is another variety I grew last year. I liked it. It looks like a cayenne, but it's actually sweet. Now unfortunately I don't have a ton of these seeds, but it's like a cayenne look, cayenne coloration, but it will be sweet pepper. So it's kind of a fun little surprise. I'm actually going to just do 1 seed per tray because I don't have a lot of these seeds. If they don't grow, I can always reuse the tray. I can take the soil out if nothing grows and plant something else. So we're okay in that department. But these are a little bigger. These are about the biggest seeds I've had yet. Which is to say they're still little. Alright, so go through, we'll switch. Alright, that's done. Now, comes the next step. I think I'm going to start planting this last row first. Yeah. So there's another variety here I liked called, it's called a Mad Hatter. It's mildly hot, but it's got sort of a bonnet shape. Here's one from last year that dried. Okay. I don't know if it'll work. I've only got a couple seeds left. I think I'm going to try planting last year's. I'm going to plant a couple, whatever I got here. So I'll plant on this last set here. So I've only got 2 seeds left. Got to make them count. But I am going to crack open last year's and see if we can find anything in there. See anything, can find anything viable. Now it is a hybrid, so this is going to be a little bit of a science experiment too while we're at it. Because it's a hybrid, they won't necessarily grow consistently. But let's see what they turn into this year. Not a lot of seeds in here, but I think we can get enough to get something out of here. But yeah, this is last year's here. So we'll see if I can do anything with them. We'll see if they sprout. they do, great. If not, well, we're little scientists, right? It's always a learning process. And I'll be right back and I'll get some seeds for this last tray. Alright, for this last tray here, I've decided I want to put in, these are, it says pineapple tomatillo, but they're really just called ground cherries. I think I'm going to put them in there. They grow low, they've got a husk kind of like a tomatillo, but they're a little bit sweeter and a little bit smaller. The ones I've had, they're about the size of a cherry tomato. They've got kind of a tart, citrusy flavor, but they're a little bit different. Again, I'm going to put, these seeds are even smaller, so I'm going to try to put 2 or 3 per tray here, per cell. We'll see what happens. Just kind of sprinkle them gently. Okay, time for the magic wand again. As you can see, if the soil was wet right now, they'd have a hard time being pushed into the soil. They'd just end up getting, I should say, in the growing mix. If it was wet right now, everything would be kind of a sticky mess. This would all stick to the pen here. So I prefer to do it dry to start out. Just kind of press them down gently. We'll get these other ones put in here as well. These are the peppers from earlier. Wind's picking up a little bit. Alright. And if you notice, there's one last empty tray here, one little cell I should say. I found some old cayenne peppers from last year. They just kind of sat in one of my vegetable boxes, fell to the bottom. They rattle a little bit, so I can hear some seeds in there. So let's crack one open and put some seeds in. These are actually pretty easy to save seeds. This probably isn't a hybrid either, so my guess is that they may even grow true to form and we won't get to see any mad mutations or anything like that. I think they've got a pretty stable genetic line. You can grow hybrid seeds by saving the seeds. It just won't turn out exactly how it was prior year. They're just not stable. But most of them will grow. I think these are just your standard old heirloom cayenne. So I think they'll grow nicely. So they'll go in this last little tray here. Last corner of the tray here. We've got a couple left over. We'll just put it here. Alright, beautiful. Well, time for the magic wand one last time. Alright, now here's the part that a lot of people I think get wrong. When you add the water, you don't want to just pour it all on top. I'll demonstrate for one cell what happens, but I think you can kind of guess. It'll just cause everything to kind of float. And you see how it just kind of pours out. The seeds float back to the top. You don't want to do that. So what I do is I'll just gently remove one of these, or 2 of these cell packs. Just pour the water in the side like this. Pour it about ½ inch or so, and put the cell back. And over the course of, I would say, the next half hour, 20 minutes, it'll sponge up and soak up all the water in the bottom. And then once, see, it's naturally hydrophobic, peat moss, and so it'll float But once it's saturated, it can reabsorb water easily. Like this is bone dry. It'll take a while to saturate, but once it does, it can absorb more water very quickly. It can absorb many times its weight in water if you've ever tried to lift a wet bag of peat moss. So we'll just let those kind of sop it up.